Okay, so today I wanted to talk about Awa Fam, share my detailed thoughts on her, and why ultimately I don't think Dallas should take her with the #1 pick. Let's get started. Starting off with her stats, here's her stats for the Spanish League. Okay, the basic stats. 3.1 points, 3.9 rebounds, 0.5 assists in 8 games played, 21 to 22. 22 to 23, 3.5 points, 4 rebounds, 0.5 assists in 15 games played. Okay, 23-24, 4.5 points a game, 4.1 rebounds, 0.7 assists in 15 games played. Here's her stats with Valencia Basket of EuroLeague. Okay, so 21 to 22, 3.2 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, 0.8 assists in 5 games played. 22 to 23, 2 points, 1 rebound, 0.4 assists in 7 games played. 23 to 24, 1.2 points, 3.2 rebounds, 0.4 assists in 5 games played. And then at 25 to 26, we got 6.7 points a game, 4.2 rebounds, 1.2 assists. So here's some of her recent stats in games that she's played. Okay, so on November 26th, we got 2 points, 5 rebounds, no assists in 17 minutes, 1 to 3 from, I believe, the 2-point line at no threes, 33% field goal. Okay, and I believe she had 1 steal, 2 turnovers, 1 block. Okay, the next game we see 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists in 19 minutes played, 1 to 3 from the field, 0-1 from the 3-point line, 25% from the field goals. Okay. And then we look at the next game, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. The game after that, 4 points, 6 rebounds, 0 assists. And then we had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 0 assists in a game that they lost. And then we see the game after that, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Here's some international play stats, okay? She's actually playing pretty heavy minutes for the most part in these, okay? And then if we look at, her production, at least the points that she's putting up, we're seeing 9 points, 21 points, 0 points, 13 points, 4 points, and 5 points. You see the inconsistency with that, and then we see the numbers. So, these are numbers that I feel like are really important and worth noting. For other recent stats, I believe this incorporates the Spanish League, but you just see like 2 points, 16 points, 17 points, 4 points, 8 points, 6 points, 6 points, 4 points, 2 points, okay? And this is continuing some more Spanish stats, if you're curious. So now you're going to see some film study in the next clip, okay? Obviously, I've watched a fair amount of her games in preparation for this video, and so I just clipped together some things that irritated me, some flaws in her game, and just some moments where I felt like the basketball IQ wasn't where it should have been, and I explained these things. So now we have some film study. This is one of the plays that irritates me most, okay? She's not under the rim, protecting the rim like she should be, okay? Gives up a backdoor cut, gets beat easily. Look at her teammates' reaction. Next one, you see right here, she loses the rebound out of bounds, turns it over. Then this one right here, she could have got the jump ball and fight for it, but she gives up, okay? Bad contest right here, didn't get fast enough to close out right here, okay? And then you see she keeps going overall, and then you see, oh, she's not in the place to get the rebound. Look, she just lets them score on her right here. I have it irritated by that, okay? And then this next clip we see over here, she literally gets beat, okay? She doesn't even try to block the shot at all. I don't know why you wouldn't try to do that. I thought she was a rim protector. And then this next clip is a lane violation that she had. The positioning for the rebound is egregious, and you should already be preparing to box out right here, and lane violation. So that was just bad right there, okay? And then this next clip, here we see she gets the ball, okay? Misses the bucket, okay? Her positioning's already off, so she can box out and get the rebound, which she doesn't, but her teammate luckily gets the rebound, okay? And so we just see her moving around right here, being in front, which is good. However, comes up with a rebound, but then she gets it knocked out of her hands, okay? And then this next clip, okay? This is a clip that's been making the rounds, but she literally traveled in this. You're not getting this shot off in the league at all. I don't know why this is a highlight. This is not happening in the league, okay? And then this next clip right here, as we see, she literally stops. She literally stops, doesn't even try to block the shot. And then here's another shot where this was a bad contest. She puts her hand down in the middle of the contest. She gets a shot off. So she just got beat on defense. And then this clip right here, okay, we see that she's trying to play defense, okay, and then late for the contest, puts her hand down again for the contest. This next clip that we have coming up here, okay, what are we seeing? Oh, wait, she doesn't get the rebound because she wasn't jumping up enough for it, the effort. And then this clip right here, okay, boom, misses the bucket, okay. And now we are going, and then her teammate gets it right, and then boom, she gets it taken out of her hands yet again, okay. This clip right here, you see, she lets herself get boxed out. Common theme. This clip right over here, okay, you see she's setting it for the pick and roll, and then misses the basket, okay. And then you see her running back in transition, right? Okay, trying to play some defense, gets beat immediately and gives up, okay? So that's going to be my film study. And you may be saying, why are you putting together her lowlights? You can make anyone look bad and so on and so on. And fair. But if you actually watch the entire games like I have, the entire games are filled of moments like this, okay? And it's one of my huge problems with her as a player. Everyone who's talking about Awa Fam right now is literally just talking about the highlights, okay? And it's very frustrating to me because, as I said before, highlights do not show the full capabilities of a player. It's supposed to show all the good aspects of your game. Defense, historically, is not shown in highlights, which I have a huge problem with, okay? I want to see what happens when the game isn't going your way, you know, when you're not getting calls, when the shot's not going through the basket and all those other things that highlights aren't going to show you. And it's important to me to see, you know, your demeanor, how you play throughout an entire game, the effort that you give, and all those other things, which is why you cannot judge somebody solely off highlights. You can say, I like what I've seen from the highlights, but you cannot definitively say someone's a number one pick based off of highlights. That's completely unfair, and it shows that you guys have not done your research on Awa's game, okay? And it's something that's very disheartening for me, okay? It really is. And so that's why this video is as detailed as it is, because you guys know I have the gift of the gab, okay? And so, yeah, just like you can pull together highlights of anyone to make them look good, and, you know, you can put together clips of people to make them look bad, it is what it is. But my point in doing this is to show aspects of her game that frustrate me and ultimately show why I do not believe that she's the number one pick, along with some of the other stuff that I'm going to touch on later and everything, and with the stats as well. So I'm building an entire case to show you guys that, and so that's why I chose to do that. And I wanted you guys to see those things, because you guys are always seeing highlights, and I feel like I haven't seen people really critique her game and show things where she comes up short, okay? So now we get into the section about things that I don't like about Awa Fam's game, okay? And I wrote these down so I don't forget them. Number one, she is not boxing out consistently. If you actually watch these games, the only time when she actually gets the rebound is if she decides she wants to box out and actually go for it, or if there's no competition and she just happens to be in the right place at the right time. Multiple times where she could have easily gotten a rebound, but she just didn't care to jump and actually fight for that, okay? Number one. And number two, there's multiple times where she gets the rebound and she just loses it and she turns it over, someone yanks it out of her hands. There was one time she got the rebound and her teammate took it out of her hands, okay? So the fact that I don't see her boxing out consistently and fighting for those rebounds, for me, is an issue, okay? One thing, if you watch the W enough, if you watch college enough, bigs need to be good at rebounding, okay? It's really, really important, okay? You should be averaging at least 7-8 rebounds a game at the bare minimum. It's extremely important offensively to give your team second chance opportunities, defensively to get the ball back to your team. And I just don't see her boxing out consistently, okay? She lets herself get boxed out, okay? And so it's just really frustrating, and her having bad positioning for the rebounds continuously, not knowing the place where she's supposed to be and everything, and being far away from the rim at times too. So her rebounding leaves a lot to be desired, okay? It's very important for a big to have good rebounding skills and do that consistently, and I just don't feel like she does that, and I feel like a lot of that is an effort thing, which is a huge problem for me. Okay, and then I think that her production is terrible. I I already showed you guys the numbers and everything, okay? Some people talking about she's playing against grown women, this, da-da-da-da. The people that she's playing against aren't that good. If you actually watch the games and everything, the defense that they're playing on her isn't even that crazy, okay? I watched her legacy game against France. I believe that she played and everything, and people were hyping that up as well. They played terrible defense on her the whole game, and most of the shots that she got were wide open shots. You're not getting that many open shots in the W. I hate to tell you that, but there's that. And then there's one point where she literally fouled somebody at the end and sent them to the free throw line, making the game closer than it needed to be, okay? So yeah, her production is just leaving a lot to be desired. This is someone who I was told is supposed to be number one pick, and you can't even average a double-double. You can't even average a double-double. But it's just inconsistent. We're seeing 2 points, 8 points, 16 points, 17 points. That's not production for a number one pick, okay? And so some people always say, what about Dom, okay? Number one, Dom was not a number one pick. Already went over the expectations of that. And number two, it's an entire thing of this was her production, okay? Putting up way more points, averaging a double-double. And some people might say, oh, this was Euro Cup, this wasn't Euro League, it's not the same, blah, blah, blah. If I was the player that you guys say that she is, then why isn't she putting a better number? She's playing like 20 minutes. It's not like she's playing 10 minutes in a game and everything. And you guys, I just don't understand moving the goalposts. Dom was putting up better numbers directly. She was putting up a double-double, okay? And we see in the league now, she's still finding her footing and getting adjusted, and that she's still raw and that she's developing. And she went to a place in Seattle that she had a, you know, veteran presence in a player like Nneka Ogwumike, for example. She could learn some from Gabby as well. And so to get adjusted and everything, she wasn't expected to start right away, okay? She was learning, you know, whenever she did play in the game. She had that veteran presence and everything, and we see how she's developing, okay? So she was number two. That's very important to say in this conversation. Her production is a whole different thing as well, and putting up better numbers as well. So I really think that that's very disingenuous in this conversation. The next one, she doesn't contribute to winning. And what I mean by that is again, a number one pick, you're supposed to be at the very worst a second option on your team, which she is not, okay? She doesn't even start for this team. She comes off the bench, and people like to use that as an excuse, but she's playing like 20 minutes a game. So you're playing 20 minutes in a game, and I'm getting like 6 points, I'm getting 8 points, and so it's frustrating in that regard. It's frustrating in that regard. Okay, and another thing about not contributing to winning is a lot of this stems back to effort, okay? I just don't feel like her cutting is that great in getting herself open looks and opportunities, and just, I don't really see her have that will to win. The only game that I saw her have that was that France game. That's literally it, and actually saw her, show some emotion. Otherwise, I just feel like she kind of goes through the motions, okay? I really do. And she's not the reason why her team wins. Whenever they be blowing out teams, she don't even be playing most of the game, okay? And so, yeah, I just don't feel like she's the reason why her team wins. I just don't think she has that drive in her, from what I'm seeing in the games, okay? And so that's something that needs to be put up. And then the next thing is that she has terrible defense consistently. She gave up on plays, including that jump ball that I showed you. She's a step behind a lot of the time, not knowing where she's supposed to be. She gave up backdoor cuts, as we also saw in the clips as well. And so multiple times where you see her just absolutely get beat on defense, you see her giving up, not having the right positioning on defense, knowing where she's supposed to be, not blocking shots and putting effort in that. And her defense is just really, really irritating for me. A lot of it's an effort thing. She even said in a recent interview that she has to have more energy and effort. And one of the clips that I showed you is from a game after she said that, okay? So you know that you're not giving effort on defense, okay? And it would be one thing if the defense was terrible, but her offense was so outstanding that you kind of just could look past it. Look at like Asatu Sabli, for example. But her offensive production isn't that crazy either, okay? So her defense is terrible, okay? And then, like I said, she doesn't have the motor needed to succeed in the WNBA, especially as a big. We're looking at prominent bigs in the WNBA. You have Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, Brianna Stewart, okay? These are people she's going to have to go up against every single night. And what do they all have? A motor, a will to win. They're going to fight for that rebound. They're going to play heavy defense. They're going to do everything that it takes to score and everything that it does to win. And in the WNBA, it's already hard enough to get in. And as a big, it's just different because of the physicality you're going to have to play with and because the matchups are insane. Like people said, power forwards, they be the best players in the W. I forgot to mention someone like Nafisa Collier as well, that she's going to have to go up against, okay? And I'm not seeing that will to win now against competition that is not objectively as good, okay? When she gets to the W, that's going to be more of a problem. You have to have more of a motor, and I'm just not seeing that from her in the tape. Next thing that I'm seeing is that she plays lazy. Sorry, that was a typo. And then she gives up multiple times, like I already said. Basketball IQ is not as high as everyone thinks, okay? People talk about her passing this, her passing that. I had to watch like 4 games to even see some of the passes that she can make. She can make some nice passes and everything, but it's not anything that's that insane. You'll act like she's Jokic or something like that. And again, all those other stats kind of cancel that out, okay? And the next thing is I just don't feel like she's fundamentally sound. Like I said, the rebounding and the not boxing out and some of the plays that she gives up, just the IQ is not there for me. Something I have to say is that she doesn't offer much as a rim protector. You don't see her blocking shots, and her positioning in the paint is often terrible, not knowing where she's supposed to be. So I feel like that's a huge thing that we have to talk about with all fam as well. And then the next thing is that number 1 picks are not based solely off of potential. Okay, they really aren't. They really are. I'm going to show you the recent number 1 picks to get the grasp. So here are the recent number 1 picks. Okay, so we had Paige, obviously, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Ryan Howard, Charlotte Carrier, which was a bust, as we know, and then Sabrina Ionescu, Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Brianna Stewart. Okay, we sensing a pattern. These are people who came into the W, and maybe they got a slow start for a couple of games. Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, it kind of took them a few seasons to get going, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but they are able to be impactful. They lived up to being that number 1 pick, at the very worst, a second scoring option on their given team. Okay, so that's the trend with number 1 picks. So expanding on the point where I'm talking about number 1 picks aren't based off of potential, all these ladies that I showed you had elite numbers in college, okay? So we already saw what that was, and some of them may have taken some more time to get going in the league, like a Kelsey Plum, like a Jackie Young, but they eventually lived up to that number 1 pick besides Charlotte Carrier, which I already talked about, okay? So you may say, oh, what about Kelsey Plum? What about Jackie Young? They were people who, had to develop and everything in the league. They were putting up elite numbers in college, number 1. And 2, it was an entire thing of, if you watch their interviews, they discussed the fact that they had all these expectations put on them at number 1 and how overwhelming that was to deal with them mentally and how it just took them some years to get going and social media and all those other things, okay? So something that they've spoken on, the weight and the burden, of being a number 1 pick and what people expect from you. So that's something else. I also feel like the situation that they went into is key versus our situation, okay? So they went to a place where it's like, okay, we're going to develop them. We're going to take that time. They had players like Dearica Hamby around them. They had Asia Wilson and stuff. And so going into the league, I believe, as a guard and as a big, it's just different in terms of the development, in terms of what you're asked to do and all those other things. And so eventually they did find their footing, and we know the production that they're putting up in the W as of now and everything. But, you know, it's just different. It's just different in terms of what guards and bigs are asked to do, and in terms of their numbers versus Iowa's numbers and all those other things in situation and stuff, where they were at versus where Dallas is going to. And I get Dallas is in a rebuild, but Paige has already proven that she's definitely a championship level winning point guard. Took a few games to get adjusted, but we see she's generational. We see she's late already in the first season and everything. And so it's just two different situations. So I felt like this was something that was important. Basically, the timeline of us in Vegas is different. I understand we're rebuilding. Like I said, Paige is someone who's proved that she can win now, which is another reason why I think that we should draft AZ, get her some help in the backcourt. He has already stated that he's going to attack free agency pretty hard, wants Paige to recruit for that, as we know, with the bigs. So I think that's something that we have. All the, bigs that we have that we're working on developing now, which is something to state. And I just don't feel like all us developing in the league is conducive to us trying to win a championship, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 years and everything. She needs to go somewhere where she's not expected to be a major contributor, okay? And so I wanted to state that. And the thing that irritates me with the whole All Fam discussion is that a lot of people are solely watching the highlights and are not watching the full games, and they're parroting this based off of the highlights, okay? And it's really frustrating for me. It's really frustrating for me, okay? Someone made a YouTube video the other day saying that we should take Awa at number 1, and I literally commented and said that she shouldn't be number 1 for the reasons that I stated to you guys, right? And they said, oh, I just watched the highlights. I didn't watch the full games. So you're literally proving my point. You're spreading misinformation to people because you're not watching the games. It's all off of highlights. One thing that really frustrates me specifically in this Awa Fam conversation is the fact that you guys say, oh, she should definitely go number 1 and all these other things, right? And then whenever we start talking about the flaws in her game and also her lackluster production, then you guys completely downplay that and you only talk about the upside as well. And then you guys say, oh, well, she's only 19 and all these other things. If you guys said that Awa should be a number 2 pick or a number 3 pick, I could be more forgiving of that, like Dom, okay? Because she was a number 2 pick and that's completely different expectations. But you guys said number 1. You guys said number 1. So you guys want her to be number 1, but you don't want her to be held to the expectations of a number 1 pick and what that is going to be in the league. So I just don't get that. I just do not get that. You guys are constantly moving the goalposts for her, and it's something that's really frustrating. Like I said, if she had insane offensive production, I can get it, but the production is not that insane, number 1. The defense is terrible, and all these other issues, and, you know, her lack of something to offer as a rim protector. I also have to say that we cannot develop bigs / we already have enough bigs. Look at Sierra McCowan, look at Kalani Brown, both of them not even on the team anymore. We have Lee right now who we're trying to develop. We have Louisa right now who we're trying to develop as well, okay? So we already have a lot of bigs right now. I think that hopefully we can get a trade for Angel Reese. I would love Angel Reese to be on the team because she just has a lot of the intangibles that I would like to have on this team. But we already have enough bigs that we're trying to develop. We historically cannot develop them, and All Fam just doesn't have the toolbox to help us be successful. We need more help in the backcourt, and we should get AZ for a plethora of reasons, okay? And if you guys want, I can make a whole video on why we should take AZ. Okay, so some overall thoughts on Awa Fam. I can understand what you guys like in her and her upside, but the problem is she's not putting together all the things that she does well and having consistent performances every single game. And that's one of the things that frustrates me as well, is the inconsistency with the performance, the numbers, some of the other things that I stated. Okay, she's not consistently putting this up. So that's something that I don't like. That's something that I don't like, okay? Already talked about the downsides and things that frustrate me about her game, which I feel like is really important as well. And I think another thing is I just don't understand the conversation in general. I understand the Lauren Betts conversation way more than this one. I already disagree with taking Lauren at number 1, which I previously stated, but this conversation literally just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think she's better than Lauren Betts. Like I said, we already have a lot of bigs and we can potentially get Awa coming back and everything. So why wouldn't we kind of just lean with that more? Also try to see what we can get in free agency, maybe a Breen Jones, maybe make a trade for Angel Reese. I don't know. I think there's better options right there. With our history of developing bigs, with how many bigs that we got, it doesn't make sense to take Awa Fam. It really does not, okay? But ultimately, I think Awa can be a decent player in the league. However, I don't think that she's number 1 caliber for the reasons that I've already stated. I think if she goes to a team where maybe one of the expansion teams or just a team that is going to have the time to develop her, where she's not expected to come and be a major contributor right away and really work on her fundamentals and get her production up, I think that she can be a decent player in the league. I think she has a lot to work on, and I surely don't think she's a number 1 pick, okay? And people were jumping me for saying that I, could see her going to college. Like, I could see something being beneficial in that. When we look at what it's done for a player like Satu Sabali, we see what Gino's doing for Blanca right there at UConn and everything. Like, I don't know. People are short-sighted on this conversation. They're not doing research and stuff, which frustrates me. But, number one pick and expectations with that and what I'm seeing from the tape doesn't align. Let me know what you guys think below, but, those are some of my thoughts.